Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Herdjie and I'm the co-founder of Lucky Cat Studios. And in May we released Nomcat, our first title, and we managed to get more than 2 million downloads within 2 months without spending any money. For those who haven't played Nomcat before, it's a really simple arcade game with all the internet cats integrated. And here's a small example or a gameplay trailer of the game. Last summer, we traveled to all the game conferences all over the world, from Shanghai China Joy to Germany Gamescom to Casual Connect San Francisco. And one thing we noticed is that all the game conferences are very educational and informational to the developers out there, but mainly focuses on talking about the huge challenges within the industry. And this can be discouraging for newcomers like us. We started Lucky Cat in February 2015. And if we knew all of this before we started Lucky Cat, I'm not even sure if we would ever start a game studio in the mobile industry. So I'm very glad that Interactive Media Summit gives us a stage to share our success story about Nomcat, and I hope to inspire other people as well. I've never worked in the game industry before. If you would ask me in January 2015 about eCPMs or user acquisition budget, I would have no idea what you were talking about. Even more interesting is the last couple of months, I've been talking to cat owners almost every day. So imagine how friends would react when I would say, hey, dude, I'm developing this app which integrates all the celebrity internet cats. They thought this was the craziest idea ever. And now a couple of months later, I'm very happy to say that I know a little bit more about the game industry and also know a little bit more about monetizing cats. Hernan, my brother, has been developing games pretty much his whole life. And we've always wanted to start a game studio together, but I've always felt insecure not knowing enough about the game industry. So right before Christmas 2014, I was struck with a cardiac arrest during a workout. I'm the lucky son of a bitch to be alive. When I got out of the hospital, as anyone would be, I was euphoric and I thought I had nothing to lose. That's when we decided to start a game studio together. The first thing we did was go to a network event. We basically had nothing. We didn't have a company name. We didn't have business cards. But what we did have was passion, and we wanted to achieve great things. And remember, guys, enthusiasm can be contagious. And we were lucky enough to find a great pixel artist, young pixel artist called Jasper, who joined our company. So after getting an office and a company name, it was time for the fun stuff, prototyping. So Hernan had this idea of creating an arcade game based on an old Kirby minigame from the NES 8-bit era. But instead of Kirby, we thought that we needed cats, because cats are cool. And cats you feed fish, but you don't feed them bombs. Am I making any sense here? And so we started with one cat on one side of the screen. Since Flappy Bird and Crossy Road were a big hit last year, we thought that we needed a little bit more challenge. That's when we decided to have two cats on both sides of the screen. I was hooked right away. It was easy to play and yet so challenging. And then we needed to create an iconic-looking cat. How was he going to look like? Eventually, we came up with this grumpy-looking cat called Nomcat on the far side of the right. And based on Nomcat, we could create all these original Nomcat characters, such as Sushi Cat, Disco Cat, Hipster Cat. We had a lot of fun making all of them. And this is the game loop of Nomcat. Since the game is built in HTML5, it was really easy to send a link to family and friends so they could test the game. And we spent a lot of time tweaking the game until they were satisfied. And one interesting note we got was that they really loved the 30 seconds non-skippable video ads. Because the game could get so intense, they thought it was a good moment to relax. And this is the first version of Nomcat. So basically you have to eat fish, and when you eat fish you get a higher score, you have to avoid the bombs, and the goldfish you see is an in-game currency which you have to collect, and you can unlock more characters. So while we were developing Nomcat, we had to come up with a marketing strategy. A couple of years ago I started this other company called 85, and we had a great Kickstarter, do a lot of press coverage. And the reason why we had a good Kickstarter was that we did a lot of co-branding in the beginning, and because we had to get out the brand out there fast. And we came up with somehow similar ideas for Nomcat. The first idea was to work with well-known pixel artists on Twitter. These are the cats they drew. They drew cats from their game, and they would mention our game on its launch day, and we would also cross-promote their game in our app. And think that the followers they have range from 2,000 followers to 50,000 followers. And also must say that the indie community is such a close-knit community that where everyone is really willing to help and share the knowledge. The second idea was to ask famous internet cats to join our game. We thought that if we could have them all on board, we could have a massive reach on its launch day, and we could do an in-app revenue share with the cat owners. As I enthusiastically started to approach all the internet cats, you probably can guess what their answer was, because they've never heard about Lucky Cat. So the first answer I got was, when I asked them to join our game, was, and the second answer I got was, but luckily, the third answer I got was, I thought this was going to be a bad idea, but we knew we shouldn't give up. So as I was browsing Facebook, I saw that most of the internet celebrity cats are adopted at an animal shelter. And these cat owners would animal shelter, and they would fight for a good cause. So I needed to approach them differently. And finally, we got in contact with Venus Two-Face Cat. She showed the gameplay trailer to her kids, and they really loved the game, and they couldn't wait until it was released. And she also mentioned that the internet cat world is a really small world where, and she saw a lot of potential in the game. So we were really happy to hear that, since we almost had to go to Plan C, which we didn't have at the time. And these are the cats we signed. Some of the cats we signed on the first version of the game. In total, we had about 5 million reach on social media, spread across Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and the deal we made with them was they would mention our game on its launch day. We would draw these cats, and they would also launch a high score competition on their social channel, and where people could win something, and also part of the revenues would go to a good cause. You probably also are asking, hey, where's Grumpy Cat, where's Neon Cat? I had the feeling that they wanted to sit out and wait how the first version was going to do, so we had to wait a little bit for them. So a couple of weeks before launch, we got this email from Apple saying we had to upload a banner for feature purposes. I mean, this is a dream come true for a lot of developers out there. But as I was reading the email closely, it says we are considering doing a feature. So as we got closer and closer to the release date, I got more and more excited. Even the last couple of days, I couldn't sleep at all. And I just want to say to developers or app developers out there, please don't do this on Google. It will drive you crazy. So on 13th of May, we released Nomcat, and on 14th of May, that's a Thursday, and then on Thursday, the App Store gets refreshed. And obviously, that evening, I was refreshing like crazy, and finally, it happened. We got a worldwide feature in 140 countries. But we knew at that point this was just the beginning. I had to go out there and get Grumpy Cat, Neon Cat, and Keyboard Cat, as they are the most famous internet cats. And the interesting to say is that these cats, there's a whole commercial organization built around these cats. Think about lawyers, license contracts, 50 pages, and they're really picky about artwork. And one thing that stood out is that they all have one manager. The manager loved the game, and he knew we are an indie company, a startup. And since we both had a lot of respect for each other, we eventually came up with a mutual beneficial agreement. And this is the first week amount of downloads we had on iOS. Imagine that when you get featured on the App Store, you on average get about 200,000 downloads in the first week. So because we got this viral thing going on social media, we had about 800,000 downloads in the first week. After a month, we added Grumpy Cat, Nyan Cat, and Keyboard Cat. Interesting to see is that the line gets more steep. So because we have famous IP in the game, our daily downloads are about 10,000. And in total, right now, we have 3 million downloads spread across iOS and Android. And the thing about what we would have done different is that we basically sucked at doing press. That's something we would definitely do different next time. And right now we are still updating Numcat. Yesterday we did a really big update with Garfield. And today the App Store is getting refreshed again, so I'm quite nervous tonight as well. And I'm going to show you a new trailer of the update, which we made yesterday. Yeah, that was a lot of fun making a hip-hop sound and cats rapping in the background. My advice to other game developers or app developers out there is that don't listen too much to the noise in the mobile industry. People talk a lot about more losers than winners, high user acquisition costs. Just go out there, make a great product, have passion for your work, and work really hard. Another advice to startups I want to give is that you really have to change your mentality. Me and my brother, we came from a family where our parents worked 365 days a year, 12 hours a day. And I remember that our intern Jasper saying, I mean, he worked at 6 companies. He said, I worked at 6 companies before, and brace yourself because your first app is definitely going to fail. And I'm going to end this talk with a quote which I got from my mom, and which I also responded to Jasper. And I said to him, failure is not an option, Jasper. Thank you.